Caroline Motuko,
Yes.
the one and only.
Yes, Caroline
Oh
Motuko was.
man,
Yes.
this whole thing is connecting things. Okay.
Yeah, so she was the keynote speaker for that event, and she asked us to write a letter to our future self. So
Yeah.
5 years from that point.
Oh
Get
man,
water.
you grew up in that kind of a life?
Oh yes.
Going to the river and
Yes.
fetching water.
Yes. Yes.
Oh my God, every day.
Every day. And you know, at that point, I remember that was the first, for me now reflecting back, my first encounter of visualization and dreaming.
Yeah.
And I remember sitting, counting forward. How old would I be when I graduated? High school.
So, hi everyone. Welcome again to one of our programs, Mr. Sam the Creative. Now today is yet another serious day, a little bit serious. Not like the Dr. Theora serious, because we have ourselves a very young lady. Well, she's headed to be a doctor and also a marathoner. Marathoner, is that a real word? What?
Well,
Marathoner, if I call you a marathoner, does it mean you
an
run?
aspiring marathon, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, Caroline. Caroline?
Yes.
And
Njeri.
Jerry. And
Muthoni.
did you take Diani as your name too?
No.
Muthoni.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, we have Caroline Muthoni today. My goodness. This visitor, especially you ladies, I know sooner or later I was going to face some few repercussions of, why are you just bringing men in the program? Well, guys, I have a beautiful lady here today that will give you so much value, will give you so much of her story, and I'm telling you, it will be so impactful. And welcome.
Thank you, Sam, for
Yeah.
having me. Yeah, I look forward to our discussion and to your viewers. Welcome here to this program, and I hope you find whatever we share helpful in kind of guiding you in whatever you may be here for.
26 miles.
Yes.
Actually, 0.2.
Yes.
How do you get to do 26.2 miles? I do 10 and I create a motivational speech because I've done 10 miles.
Yeah.
How do you manage? And actually you ran alongside men.
Yes, I did. Yes. So 26.2 miles. Yes, 0.2. It actually feels like a whole marathon after you ran 26 miles. And it took me, let me say, about 4 months to train to the marathon. But last year I had actually ran a half marathon, so I kind of knew how half the distance to 26.2 miles feels like. And so I started working on training for a marathon. So I knew this year I wanted to run a full marathon, and I was going to do the Chicago marathon. And then COVID happened, of course, so we did it virtually, but I kept on training just to keep pushing my body to kind of where I can get. And after 400 miles of training, I ran 26.2 miles and finished in 4 hours and 21 seconds. Yeah.
So guys, a mother, a PhD student, a wife, my goodness, and that figure of yours, and 26 miles, my goodness. Today you have a treat, guys, you have a treat. If you really want to make it in so many things that you have set for yourself, make sure you listen until the end and subscribe, and actually follow her on Facebook?
I'm on Twitter, I'm on Instagram, and for the professionals, I'm actually also on LinkedIn.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, let's begin. Where are you from in Kenya?
So I'm from Muranga, Kenya, which is in central Kenya. So I grew up there until about age 10, at which point we moved to Nairobi, and that's where I lived until coming to the US.
How was life?
Life?
You look like a rich lady, like a girl who was spoiled.
Oh,
like,
no.
one of those MP kids. Look at her. Huyu anakaa MP.
Actually, the truth is far from that, I would say. So I grew up, so I grew up very, very poor, and was raised by my grandmother because my mom was a single mom, and she had to go to Nairobi and, work and bring money home. So it was a household of about 8 of us that lived with my grandmother. And, we endured some hardships. Going to school, sometimes we didn't have money for school fees and we had to be sent home. And then that's before Kenya had this introduced free primary school for the lower for the primary
lower standard.
Yes.
Yeah.
So
I can imagine. Remember, we used to be called. It's parade time in the morning.
Yes.
And then a list of names that is called, and your name will just appear as one of them, and you're told, please stay behind, because we need to talk about your school fees.
Yes.
And before you know it, you're told, go home.
Yes, and it's
That's so
embarrassing. Yes, it's embarrassing, and for a child that age, before age 10, there's a lot of things happening, and you're trying to build up your identity. Just biologically, that's what's going on, and peers are becoming very impactful at this point, and so you being almost embarrassed in front of your peers, they know why you're going home, you're poor. So so it's just embarrassing to that point. And then also when we lived with my grandmother, we went to bed hungry on multiple occasions that I can remember. So yes. But and we the reason we went hungry, like in 2002, the year 2000, was because we used to farm our land, and would get all the way from manure, do the plowing of the land, and then plant sukuma wiki, water them every day after school, and then go to the Muthoni, the river, get water.
You grew up in that kind of a life?
Oh, yes.
Going to the river and fetching water?
Yes.
Oh my God, every day?
Every day we fetched water.
In Muranga?
Yes. In those 20 liters barrels, and you have to put it to your back, and sometimes I think I have some back pain from those because I was young, looking back, for a 10-year-old to carry 20 liters barrel. Yes, I think that was a little bit heavy, but I think doing it over time, it becomes, your body gets used to it, but it doesn't mean that a child that age actually should have been carrying that much. And I don't think, my grandmother didn't know, and that was the norm those days. So, we grew our own maize. And that's how we lived. And to get paraffin for the lamps that we used to use to read for school, we had to go to the shop, and sometimes my grandmother didn't have money, and so the shopkeeper, who was called Mrs. Gadora, would go there and ask her for that.
In terms of debt.
Yes, in terms of debt, which would be paid after my mom, who is now in Nairobi, would send money to my grandmother.
So, sleeping hungry. I've slept hungry, but I imagine a lady like you.
No, as a child, I was a child at that point.
A little girl. Sleeping hungry. My goodness.
And some of these things.
Do you even get to sleep? Do you even get the sleep?
I think we slept just fine. Yeah. I think, so sometimes what my grandmother did, sometimes it would be, maybe you can choose, do you want lunch or will you rather have dinner?
Oh, you get.
So you get to choose. So, and the year 2000, we slept hungry. That's the year I remember the most. And I was 9 years old.
Okay.
And so there was El Nino, and then there was famine following that. And so our farm did not produce enough maize. There was no skuma wiki. We didn't have enough. And so my grandmother struggled and went to talk to her friends who maybe had harvested, but nobody was willing to sell. And so sometimes she just boiled maize, complete maize without any beans. You know, like, you know how people say, the only bean in my githeri?
Yeah.
There was no bean to be found in that githeri. So, so I think for me, I think having my cousins who were also going through the same things as me was, you felt normal to be going through that together. And the people around us were not so rich that you felt out of place. You know, this was just kind of the norm. Even though like our neighbors, maybe they had provision every day, we knew we were definitely poor. And my grandmother, who didn't work and was a homemaker, there was nothing much for her to do other than, you know, we wake up next day and try and make things better. But I still had a dream, even in the midst of us going to bed hungry, being sent home for school fees. You know, I still had a dream. I remember at 10 years old, I started now dreaming about kind of where I wanted my life to be.
You decided that poverty should stay far away from you. So you finished class 8.
Yes.
And how did you manage to hit the high school?
High school. So I think actually up until that grade, I think I had either some low self-esteem or things like that. And so I never really performed well. And then got to class 4. I actually repeated a class in class 4 again. And I think that was the best thing that happened to me. Because the teacher took notice of me. My handwriting was not as good and she had to show me how to write. And I felt that connection. I felt like that teacher cared about me. And I think,
were you not embarrassed a little bit?
I was not embarrassed.
That was a little embarrassing for people to repeat.
To repeat? Oh, I was embarrassed about repeating. I was not embarrassed about the teacher helping me learn how to write. Yes. So
it's so embarrassing.
Yes. I was definitely embarrassed for repeating 4th grade because my cousin, who were at the same age, were in the same class, and she progressed to the next class. And so when I was repeating, I remember I was the second last in that class 4, number 35, because there was 36 students. And I repeated along with a few, maybe from 30 or 36 repeated the class. And so I repeated, and then the beginning place was my writing was not good. I needed to know how to write H, G, you know, like really well. Like these are some basic things. And you would think at that point, a class 4 student who is repeating and doesn't even know how to write a G, letter G properly, that would have some kind of outcome that I had in 8th grade, in class 8. And so let me just say that teacher taking notice of me and helping me was impactful for me in that it helped me feel like somebody cared. I think sometimes children just need that.
So really, actually, you repeating in that class really changed your life. Up to today, basically.
Yes.
What are some of the things you think that it's almost like a little failure, having to repeat?
A setback, yes.
That setback, how did it end up elevating you?
I think, let's say when you repeat a class, of course, the books that you're using are similar. And so you feel like you have a competitive edge. So I decided not to look at it from a negative. I decided to look at it from the teachers who teach this class already know me. the teachers, the books that we're using are still the same books, and I know the stories
and
things like that.
Before.
So I felt confident that I would have a competitive edge in that I would be ahead of the other students. Yeah. And ahead I was. Because by the end of that year, I was number 3.
Wow.
In the class.
Being number 3 was a big deal.
Yes. Yes. So I became number 3. And that was the beginning of my life trajectory to where I am right now. Because it helped me see for myself that, look, you can actually be something. You can actually get good grades and things like that. Yeah.
So you move on and you still did good even in standard 8 or?
Yeah, so I don't remember exactly. I think I had 376 and at the 376 marks, 78 marks, and
out of
500.
500?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's
so I think it was an A or A minus.
Ooh, A student. My goodness. A or A minus was good.
Yeah.
B plus was good.
Yeah.
B was good.
Yeah.
You did an A.
A minus.
Yeah, A minus.
Yeah.
That is, wow. Guys, we are speaking to an A minus student in Kenya, not in America. You know what it means to have an A minus in Kenya. That's a big deal, you know?
Yes. So, and then I was called to go to Ngara Gulf, the one in Nairobi, because at this point now I was living with my aunt, who was staying with me at this point. And I was in the city, and and my experience in class 8, I used to shrub a lot, you know, because I had just come from the village. And so
girl.
So people made fun of me during that time, but I was the first girl in the school to ever have such high marks. I think that's what the school said. And then eventually so I do well, and then my aunt, my uncle don't have money to take me to school.
So what did you have to do?
What did I have to do? We did a lot. We trekked. We trekked to the chief's office. We told the chief, I do not have money to go to school, and I want to go to secondary school. Yeah. He sent me and my aunt to different places, and we sometimes would have to walk because we did not have enough. Yes, we did not have bus fare.
Sunlight.
Yes.
Hot sun.
Yes.
Dust.
Yes.
Wind.
Yes.
And just bare road.
Yes, and we'll get to the offices. Like I remember getting to KCB, Kenya Commercial Bank in Kenya, and we're dusty, and they give us hungry, thirsty. You are umeparara, like full of dust. Yeah, literally. But people were so gracious. People were so gracious. People, I'm not sure if they want me to mention their names, but there were people and angels that I've met along the way at KCB, and everywhere. They sent me to Jomo Kenyatta Foundation to apply for scholarship. I applied, and then the list would come back to the newspaper. Then my heart was broken because I was not one of the listed. And then school started. Form 1 opened. Months went by, and it's in March, end of March.
And you're not in school?
I'm not in school.
What?
Yes, I'm not in school.
Oh my goodness.
Yes.
Okay, now your hardship is another special level. You know, I've seen people saying they went through hardship. Yeah, I went to high school, but the going to high school was an issue. Not even the being in the high school.
Yes. For me to get to high school was a really, really big trial for me. I think, so we went to various places. I just mentioned a few. And then one time, I almost gave up now because it's the end of March. I almost gave up, and I go to Huruma chief station, and I tell the chief that I know you have sent me to all these places, and we are not finding anything, and I think I'm okay going to a day school. Yeah. I will not hold on to my dream for going to the boarding school because now Ngara High School also said my place has been taken because we don't have money. Right? So they gave my space to somebody else. All right. So when I went to see the chief office, he said to me, okay, I'm gonna give you 1,000. Go to, there was a new high school coming up in the slums, and pay your admission fee.
Okay.
And then, so my aunt was with me. My aunt was with me throughout this process. And then we went and paid at Equity Bank. And then she said, come back on Friday.
Oh.
All right. So we came on Friday, and my miracle was waiting. The miracle that really, if I didn't meet that miracle that day, my life trajectory, I think, would be very different.
You'll be they call them mboch. I hate using that word mboch. Yeah. But you'll be those people who are called mboch in Kenya.
Yes.
House helps.
Yeah.
Or some funny job somewhere.
Yes. Probably. Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So when I went to the chief, and he said. So I found a huge, like a queue, long queue.
Yeah.
And I wondered what's going on here. So for me, knowing the chief and the rapport we had established, I went and knocked the door. Yeah. When he saw it was me, being the kind of man he was, he said, come in. Yeah. Even though I could see clearly there was 3 guests, one white woman, and one, I could tell, like high class woman in Kenya, and another high-end woman who happened to be her secretary. Yeah. And she was Elizabeth Gatumia of the Kenya Heart Foundation. Okay. And long story short, Elizabeth fell in love with my story, and she asked God what it was about me. And even though the white woman tried to discourage her not to take me in as support for going to school, because their mission was really to help heart disease among young children from the rheumatic heart disease, not schooling. Yeah. And so she called back that weekend, and she said, come to my office on Monday. And that was the beginning of it, because she called her friend who happened to be PTA and board member at Kamboi Girls High School. Kamboi. Yes.
I was in Kiambu High, so Kamboi is a place I frequent.
Yes. So Kamboi Girls High School, that's where I ended up, because Elizabeth's friend, Rebecca Morigo, happened to be, have gone to school there, and they were best friends. So when she saw me at the chief's office, she called her. She said, I have a girl here, I think you may want to hear about her. Yeah. And she said, okay, let's talk about this. And so I think when they have talked about the weekend, they came in and said, okay, called Kambwe Girls, sent a fax all about me. By the time they sent me to the office in Kamboi Monday, they sent me from Nairobi, Westland, to Kamboi that day with my aunt. We went, the principal, bless her heart, she already knew my whole story. Yes. And she said, come to school Wednesday. So we went back the same day, Monday, with my aunt.
4 months of struggling, almost 4 months.
Yes, of 4 months. Like, I was crying. Yeah. I was crying. My aunt was crying. We were all bawling, like literally, like my crying. Goodness. Because now Elizabeth said, okay, go buy your dictionary, whatever you need. It took us 1 day to shop for my night dress for high school, mattresses, everything. And Wednesday, they took me to school, and my high school life began.
So this lady, what's her name again?
Elizabeth Gatumia.
Elizabeth Gatumia.
Yes.
Wow. Yeah. Don't we need people like those in our country?
Yes, yes.
I mean, wherever you are, Elizabeth, I'm sure you might watch this video. I just want to recognize you and congratulate you for really helping people, opening your heart. You know, very few people can do that.
Yeah.
These days with their life right now, because you might have, she has relatives. She could have helped a relative or someone.
She was helping relatives, and
she decided
also to take me on.
Wow.
So
Well, thank you.
Yeah. Wow. So thank you, Elizabeth.
Wow.
Wow. And she knows. She knows. And she talked to me. She's my mentor. Call her mom sometimes, and she mentored me. Yes. I think her coming into my life and talking to me, the long talks we had in your office were really impactful for me, because I would come home and excited to show her my report card, and I worked hard because I knew somebody cared to look at my report card. And so for me, even if I did not do so well, she would say, maybe this is what you need to do.
Yeah.
And that really helped me like stay in line.
Wow.
For high school.
For
and
high school.
She connected me to people who are called Jean and George, and they paid my high school.
Okay.
And they were from the UK.
Okay.
They came to my prize giving day. I always received prizes for high school. Yes.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So
what a life.
It was a life. I think at that point I took a deep breath and I felt like I could settle in. And I think for me, high school was a home away from home because I knew I would not go to bed hungry.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There was food, even if it was
I know.
githeri all day.
That hot sunshine in Muranga carrying water every day.
Yes.
My goodness.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think some of these things, I think it's hard for people to know.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know, I have stories too of my past. I went through a lot. But every time I meet someone like you, it's a whole different
It's a whole different dimension, yeah.
Especially, I lived a life of poverty when I was young. But I was a guy.
Yeah.
We will go out there sokoni and eat avocados and go back home.
Yeah.
But I liken you to my older sister. Then she passed on. And she had to stay at home because girls stayed at home.
Yeah.
And if she's hungry, she stays hungry.
Yeah.
There's nothing in the house. Us guys will just go and eat avocados at the marketplace.
Yes.
And actually, I was getting fat when she was getting thinner.
Yeah.
Oh my God. So, you finished high school.
Yes. Yeah. So, my high school, I never got sent home for school fees, thanks to the support. And so actually what that helped me do is cast more of a vision, right? Now I'm in high school, what do I want to do? And actually that's kind of where I knew more things were possible in high school because I think boarding school you have more time. Yeah. And I knew I wanted to do more. I wanted to go to college, but I didn't want to go to college in Kenya. Yeah. And so even when we were filling out those forms for help and things like that, I knew definitely I wanted to go to the US or Canada or the UK for further studies. And so I started speaking it. Okay. I started speaking. At that point, I did not know the power of speaking, visualizing where you want to be. Yeah. I could visualize myself in a very different context, like in the US.
So you used to see it.
Yes.
See yourself.
I would see it in the eye of my mind.
Yes.
I would see where I would be. And
so really that dreaming and seeing things is very important.
It's very important.
A lot of people try to educate us about it. And then, especially as African and our parents, they're like, it's demonic, just pray to God.
God, yes.
Yeah, why do you have to see things
in your mind?
In your mind, what is this law of attraction thing? Yeah. What is wrong with you guys? You guys have been, now you're playing in the enemy's playground, you know? Yes. So this thing about really visualizing your future is truly important.
It is, it is. And I would say, actually, maybe taking it back to maybe when I was 9 years old and at my grandmother's and life was hard. And you know, at that point, I remember that was the first, for me now reflecting back, my first encounter of visualization and dreaming. Yeah. And I remember sitting, counting forward. How old would I be when I graduated high school? And which year would it be? Yes. And as a child, that was really hard. You know, those math are really hard to like 2016. You know, like when would that be? You know, that's college. What? And that's kind of where I stopped at that time. And that does not mean that's where your dream ends. Yeah. But that continued with me because now in high school, I'm like, okay, so I already counted when I was 9 years old. I already counted by 2010, I'll be graduating high school. Now what? Now that I'm almost graduating high school. Yeah. And in high school, that's when I started going. I was a library captain and also high school captain. So some people out there who are watching this video, Kenya head girl, right here.
Head girl mwenyewe. Mangati hawa. Mangati.
Yeah. So at that time, I was going to the library quite often, and I started seeing this book about St. Louis University in Washington. I think it's in Missouri.
Yeah.
And I started saying, I'm going to go here. I'm going to go to this school. And I did not know at that point, but that's a visualization and that's a manifestation tool. You're saying, this is where I'm going to be. And I started seeing myself in those very clean pathways, you know, like walkways nice for places.
Man, you
for the US.
Dreaming.
I was dreaming big, you know.
Well, I was helped to dream by Tony Robbins. I read his book in the ghetto in Makongeni Thika, and I dreamt and I wrote everything I wanted. But upon arrival, I forgot that I was dreaming bigger. I was like, I have arrived.
Yeah.
So you kept on dreaming.
Yeah, but I don't think, to your point, I don't think you forgot.
Yeah.
I think subconscious, our subconscious mind, so long as you have it written down and you have seen it, manifestation, sometimes you just have to forget it somewhere and then you will connect the dots back and you actually see that it actually happened.
You realize that's how I had, actually my dream was to land in the US and it happened.
Yes.
And some of it was actually to have an organization and it happened. But a few of them I kind of missed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, how do you dream? Do you dream and they all come in place, or maybe one at a time at its own timing? Or
so I would say my dream for landing to St. Louis, of course, didn't happen. So
but something close.
Something close. I landed in the US, right?
Yes.
And I landed to similar buildings. Dordt University has similar buildings, and it's in the Midwest.
Yeah.
So I would say I landed fairly close.
Yeah.
To
Let me
that.
tell you something funny that you know a bit about it. I was dreaming about owning a Sprinter, a long, white, beautiful Sprinter for my business. But I think I was not dreaming of a new one. And you know that Sprinter outside your compound? That's what came to me. I should have dreamt of a new one. So you have to be accurate about.
I think you have to be clear. The details have to be a little bit clear, even if they're not clear. I think over time they become clear.
Yes.
Of what? Yeah.
Because I was like, okay, I have a Sprinter.
Yeah.
This thing is old, man.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So St. Louis, it never happened, but where did it happen?
I went to Dordt University.
Okay.
Yes.
Dordt. Where is Dordt University?
It's in Iowa, in Sioux Center, Iowa, very small town.
Okay. DJ Voicey, Iowa people, Joy, all those people in Iowa, big up. Anyway, I know some people in Iowa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And actually...
Was it a scholarship, or how did this happen?
Yes, I got a full ride to come to the US thanks to Zawadi Africa Foundation. That's actually how I ended up coming to the US. And so in life, different people are going to play different roles.
Okay.
And Elizabeth was definitely big for me, like an overarching angel for me, because she helped me through high school. And then after high school, I worked for her for a little bit as just like to run errands, in the office. During that time, a girl who was in Zawadi Africa came to intern for Elizabeth's Kenyan Heart Foundation.
Okay.
And she introduced me to, she heard that I was looking to go into the UK, the US, or Canada. And she asked me how was I planning to do, and I said, I'm just looking online. And she said, would you like for a sure way of how I went to the US? And I said, sure. She said, draft your story of how you've been here, what your accomplishment, things like that. And then the next day she took me to the South Africa office in Hurlingham, and I was introduced to the staff, and they gave me the application letter. Okay. And then I applied. They screened me. I passed that process. And
so this is Elizabeth.
So Elizabeth introduced me to
Elizabeth Foundation introduced you to?
The opportunity found me there because Jackie heard I was already planning to come to the US to other places, but I didn't have a plan. So Jackie was the angel that came to intern for Elizabeth's office and introduced me to Zawadi. And of course, everybody around there was also playing supporting roles. By Elizabeth was paying me, and she was paying for my hostel at that point in Nairobi, and so that I would go to work and have bus fare and things like that. And then the Zawadi process began, and it's almost a year and a half process. You apply, you get screened. When you get in the program, you have to do your SAT scores or like similar to TOEFL, things like that. And then SAT 2, you have to study, improve your English a little bit, and then do the test so that you can apply to universities in the US, and they link you up depending on how you did. So in high school, I got a B plus of 71 points, I think. And I had been called to Nairobi University and Moi to do public health, nursing, and so at that point, I knew US was going to happen, so I was not taking serious the Kenyan things, and so I decided to just concentrate on the US things. So, so Elizabeth was also a key role because we helped print little cards for me to fundraise. I needed to go to the US for a ticket and things like that. So even though like I had gotten like a whole scholarship, which is a grueling process, like I mentioned the SATs, right? And then you apply. You have to write essays. And they have to be good. You have to learn about the schools and present yourself as a good match for those schools. So that's what I did. And I ended up matching with two, Agostana and Dot. And then I chose Dot because they came to see us in Kenya.
Very good.
So I felt like a personal connection. That the school was good. So
you joined Dot, and then how was college life? Was it another adventure?
Yeah, it was. It was an adventure, but I remember.
How did you decide to choose your line of study? Nursing.
Yeah, I think it was. So I knew I wanted to be in the medical field, and I knew my purpose in life. So when South Africa is sending us to the US, we go through this conference and you kind of write your goals. And Caroline Mutuko was the keynote speaker for this conference. And
Caroline Mutuko, the one and only.
Yes, Caroline Mutuko was.
Man, this whole thing is connecting things.
Yeah, so she was the keynote speaker for that event, and she asked us to write a letter to our future self. So 5 years from that point, and that was June of 2012, and so I wrote a letter to myself to June of 17.
Wow, so Caroline, one of your products right here.
Yes, wow. So so I wrote that, and so in that I outlined kind of my overarching goal, and at this point I had really prayed, and I think the dream had become clear of now what I really wanted to do. Yes, that little girl like in the village had endured so much, gone to high school and succeeded, and now I have this opportunity of going to the US. Like my life is literally gonna change. And so I took it upon myself to like ask God for like a blueprint of my life. Like where is my life going, and what's my mission? Like what's the mission you sent me?
That you asked yourself.
Yes. What's the mission of this life that you gave me? And so I remember praying in church one day, and it came to me. It was clear. I knew like I'm smart, definitely, and I could do all these things, but I just didn't want to do things just for the sake of it.
So I
So I prayed, and the mission was to impact young people's lives, and change like adolescent girls and young women trajectories, like for health, and help them be in charge of their bodies.
Wow.
And I outlined all these things.
Changing their trajectories.
Yes.
That's powerful.
Yeah. So like help women like be in charge. Like you know, like a lot of rape happen like in Kenya, abuse, things like that. So I definitely knew I wanted to be in those kind of spaces and make a difference. Like there's a lot of even intimate partner violence happening for like young girls, or like pregnancies happening so early, things like that. And so for me, I knew I wanted to change. That's the space I was, and God made it clear in that prayer that that's where I wanted to be. So I did not know any of this. So I wrote that letter and I outlined exactly that's what I wanted to do. So when I came to the US and I'm trying to find a major, I'm like, now what major like can fit all these outline bullet points of my like mission. Yeah, so trying to like find the college major that would fit this mission that God said, or like I heard in this prayer that that's where I should be. And how do you actually do that? You know, I was just like, God, like now you give me this, just get me to your major, you know. But God doesn't pull strings. He's not sitting there doing everything for you like this, orchestrating things. And I remember that professor saying exactly that. Do you think God just sits there and you're predetermined?
Are you a puppet?
No, but for me, at least my interpretation is that no, it doesn't work like that. And so you still also have to, you have free will, and you have to put in the work and try. And so the beauty about the US school, you can try majors every semester. You can say, I'm pre-med this year. I am social work. So I started with social work and environmental studies. And then the next semester I went to youth ministry, because I was like, maybe youth ministry, because I want to work with youth. Then it didn't fit. And then biology classes, because I knew I know biology, but I was like, do I really want to work in the lab all my life? Then the answer was no. And so, but I was like, I really like working with women's health. Maybe that may get me close. And so I was like, what of these majors will get me there? And so, because in Kenya I was going to do nursing, I was like, maybe the major I had chosen in Kenya, maybe that's what I should go to. So I took nursing. And I started nursing in the year 2 of my undergraduate studies. And so it was kind of late. So it was really tricky to fit my clinicals, everything, and finish on time. But I finished within the 4 years that my scholarship had allowed. And, you know, culture shock, of course, and things like that. But it didn't mean I was not smart as the rest. And we had another girl also from Kenya. So it was an international student. So there was this camaraderie of students with similar experiences and things like that. So it helped us like keep us together and like stay focused. And also it's very rural, so there's no partying.
Zero party.
There's no no partying at all. And so so I stayed there, went to clinicals. Sometimes you're waking up at 4, getting to clinicals at like 6:30 or 6. That's when you're starting to see your patients. So and
it was a very good learning environment.
I really loved Dot University. For anybody out there who is looking for college, that's a very good
little influences that can
deter you. So I really enjoyed my life at Dot. It was easy. I was able to work as a work study student. Later on, improved myself and showcased that I can do greater work. And so I applied for lab assistant to the human anatomy and physiology. And then, so I tutored there for 2 years. And also... That's
after graduating? Or
No. While you're in school.
Wow.
Yeah, while you're in school, if they determine you're a better student, you can teach other students. So I did that, and tutored for bio and also lifespan development, and also helped with the labs.
Wow.
So for like when people are like dissecting the brains of in the labs, so I was their
So
TA.
is it that you're a genius or you just worked hard? Or maybe the definition of a genius maybe is just working hard, or what is this? How did you
know. I think
did you really struggle, or it came just
struggling for school? No, I have not struggled for school. I struggled in fourth grade, class 4. If you guys remember, I repeated that class, but that was the end of me struggling.
Wow.
That was the end of me struggling in school ever.
Wow.
Like you give me a class.
That class 4 really made.
Yes. So somebody like out there, you may look at, I repeated class 7, I repeated class 8.
Yeah.
And it's up to you to look at it from a positive point of view.
Very true.
So I took it to mean I feel ahead of the other people. It gives me a competitive edge.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm gonna do.
Wow.
So that's how I looked at it. And so I think for me, by looking at it from that point, college, yes, classes are still hard, but I think concepts came to me naturally.
So tell me, tell a girl in Kenya who has just finished high school or is about to.
Yeah.
Especially in this COVID season. They are repeating, by the way.
Yes.
I think so, right?
Oh, yeah. Some people will repeat or have hardship maintaining the grades.
Yeah. Tell them, is there a possibility for them to, or yours was mere a God move or some...
But God still moves.
Still moves.
Yes.
And can move with anyone else's life.
Yes. But you have to also be clear.
You got to see it and be clear with your vision.
Yes. Yes. And it doesn't matter like what's happening right now with COVID. You still got to stay focused at home. If they're sending you homework on your WhatsApp, if they are sending you homework on the text message, make sure you're doing the homework. You're doing your readings. If it's the set books, you're reading them. You're getting to know them through and through. So that given a chance next year when they said their KCSE will be, then you're ready. There will be no excuse. And so even if you're home, you already know maybe 3 years of your studies. Your molecular, mole concept will not change. It will be the same. Go back to those textbooks. Read. For biology, the way fertilization of the in plants happen, it will not change. How tadpole breathes, it will not change. It will stay the same.
The life cycle of a tadpole.
Yes, yes. All those things.
It will remain the same.
It will remain the same.
So you go read right now.
Yes.
You're just preparing for the future.
Yes. So you have to stay focused on what you can control. That's one thing you can control.
And that's one mistake I did, or some of other people did too. Sometimes we will go home because of school fees, and that will be our time or my time to have fun. And I lost a lot through that.
Yeah, so I think the key is to staying focused and kind of knowing your dream. And also at this COVID time, maybe try and see yourself beyond this point. Yes, the world is going through this crisis of COVID, but try and see your life better than it is. If you want to study in the US, if you want to study in the UK, start visualizing yourself there. And God orchestrates your life to go in that direction. So it doesn't mean that God has destined you for like poverty and that's where you're gonna be. No, you can actually chart your own life trajectories by beginning by being true to yourself and doing like asking the either God or whatever force guides your life to really kind of show you and help you dream, like dream bigger. Surround yourself with people maybe who are doing well in high school or people you see doing well. Maybe start making them notice you and maybe mentor you, things like that. And that's one of the way, like Elizabeth really helped me see myself, project myself in a different light.
And you need mentors too, because Elizabeth was like
she
your
was
mentor.
my mentor, yes.
And Caroline Mutuko.
Yeah, so
with
all
the
those
letter.
people, and Zawadi Africa for me, these are all organizations and people who really played a role in my life. And so for people out who are also influential, maybe if you see a girl who is struggling or a young boy, gentleman who needs the help, that's a time for you. Yes, open up and be their guiding light in that moment, because you do not know tomorrow.
Some of their friends might be able to help that person.
Yeah. So like KCB Financial Department, Christine and your team, hello, and you all helped me. Like they helped me like pay for my when Zawadi gave me the scholarship.
Yeah.
They paid for my flight, British Airways, to the US. So things like that.
Wow.
So yes.
Wow.
So yeah. So I have been blessed by strangers.
But also the girls, or even the men, I'm sure it's not just girls alone, they should be bold enough
to walk through those doors
in the chief's office and knock and get in and present there.
Yes, just like knock and they will be opened.
Yeah.
So because if you stay home and decide there's no way, nobody will come home and grab you. Let's go to this, find the opportunities for you. I had to like decide for myself. I wanted to go to school, and it didn't matter if my uncle didn't want me to go to school. It didn't matter if my aunt didn't agree. I still went. Yes, at that point they may have said rebellious.
Yes.
But I knew what I wanted, and so I'm not telling you guys to like not listen to your parents.
Yeah, but you got to do what you
sometimes
have to do.
Yes, and especially when you're of age. Like after high school, I was like 18.
Yeah.
You're of age
and
at that point.
If I work in that office, things might happen, and maybe you're getting discouraged. I think you should just try.
Yeah. I mean, like I used to work in KCB. My shoes, oh my God, they're covered in like dust.
Oh my.
And even when I used to go to Elizabeth's office, like it would be so dusty. But let me tell you, that's how life get changed, because you cannot just wait for manna from heaven, like sit. Those days are gone. Those days are in the Old Testament. I'm sorry.
Yes.
So you have to like.
It's like there's this song Uliza Kiatu. Your shoes so it all.
Yes.
So you're a PhD student.
Yes.
How did you get there? You finished in DOT and.
Yes, I finished at DOT, and then so now I'm a nurse. I'm licensed as a nurse to practice in Iowa. But then I was applying to come to North Carolina at Duke University to work.
One of the best.
Yeah, the best. Yeah, you have to be audacious.
Yes.
To like think that you can actually get a place like Duke coming from Iowa.
By the way, Duke University is the likes of Yale and Oxford, if you're in Europe.
Yeah.
It's one of the best, or let me say,
Yeah, it's world renowned. Yeah. So, so I had actually gotten a job at another hospital in Sioux Falls, which is a state near Iowa. And I was in the cardiothoracic unit, worked there for a little bit. And then the Duke opportunity came. And I was like, asked for advice, and was advised that Duke, given the name on my resume, will look pretty good. Open more doors.
Very many.
So I came to Duke and I applied, and the job I got actually was a transplant unit. So I worked as a transplant nurse for about a year. And at that time, remember, I'm still keeping in touch with my mission in life. Yes, it's transplant. And I asked myself,
but you still have your mission right in there.
To help girls. But how does transplant come in that, right?
Yeah.
And so I decided maybe this is not fully where, it's not going to lead me to where I want.
Okay.
But I think it was just a time for me to practice my nursing skills.
Yes.
And during that time, I knew I always wanted to do a PhD. When I was in college, the vision of how I was supposed to impact young girls' lives and young men's lives was to start this big thing, like big foundation, like in Kenya. And so what I did was come to Duke, work, and then apply to PhD.
Yeah. Okay.
So applying to PhD, I was accepted.
Yeah.
So I applied to both UNC and Duke. And so I got into UNC and I started that process of going to, so I knew I was going to go and I was only going to work for a year. Yeah.
Wow. So you ended up landing an opportunity as a PhD student, Duke.
No, it's University of North Carolina at Chapel Hill.
Okay.
Yes, that's where I am.
That's a good.
Oh university. Yeah, it's a big and good university as well, and I'm happy to be there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, what are your next moves in terms of your mission? Because there's this mission that you've always
always had, and so I want to say I think PhD is where it came full circle for me.
Okay.
For some of you, it may come full circle maybe in your master's, but I didn't actually do my master's. I came from my bachelor's of science in nursing all the way to the PhD level.
Okay.
And so I'm almost done. God willing, I will be defending my dissertation, which is the end of your PhD schooling. It's marked by successful defense of a dissertation. So dissertation is technically like a study that you've really mastered, an area you've mastered, and you've asked some questions, and you want to defend your methodology of how you got to that. And so when I applied to UNC, they asked me for a personal statement and research goals as well. And I outlined there that I wanted to start this foundation and my mission was to impact young women. And at that point, I didn't know. And so, so right now I want to say I'm very happy with how my life is, because I feel like my PhD has really helped me explore issues that affect young girls in Kenya and Africa in general, like HIV, risky sexual behaviors, things like non-communicable diseases are also on the rise, like things like obesity, things like that, and also how to just empower women. So my emphasis has been on women because I feel like they are more disproportionately impacted by gender norms that are in Kenya.
Yes.
And also like
in Kenya,
poverty
the culture
and
is very, we say chauvinistic or something like that. And
masculinity norms that men can mess with women however they want. The gender inequalities in Kenya or even in Africa, where men can work earlier.
Yes.
And women are not working, and so
they can make more.
Yes.
With the same job.
And women sometimes are left to be homemakers and things like that, and they also need money, and so there becomes this desperation, and that leads to a lot of risk for health outcomes for young women, and so that's what I've been focusing on. So my study is on adolescent girls and how I can identify factors within their communities that can protect them and help them be resilient in the face of risk factors that may come about. So,
because considering that over 60% of marriages are ending up in divorce, and we have those other single mothers who were never married, that makes almost 70% of women living with children and no good support from the man. So women are very susceptible of some kind of abuse or some kind of marginalization. So it's quite a mission.
It's a lot of things that you can do in this space of helping kind of girls like take charge of their own lives, and so that's kind of, I feel my PhD really allowed me to explore this in a deeper sense, and now I feel like when I graduate and defend that I'm still chasing that mission, and I feel like I'm in line, like I feel I'm headed to the right direction. I think that's what's important.
Yeah.
You stay true and you also keep reevaluating.
Yes.
Am I
so
going
a dream is not always super 100% clear. The clarity comes about as you go and learn more.
Yes.
And get these opportunities and mold it slowly by slowly.
Yeah. So do not wait for... see, like when I was in 8th grade...
Some kind of an intervention.
Yeah. And do not wait for it to be clear.
Yeah.
Go with what's clear at that point.
Because some people prepare too much. Oh, I can't do this because I'm not sure about it yet. I want to be able to have this. I want to be able to know this. I will not go to school yet because I'm not really sure exactly what, you know.
Yeah. And you just got to stay true and take the step that's clear. Like, you know, like when you're driving at night, you have your car lights. What's a good example, like for people who don't drive?
Well,
let's say
you're walking outside with
in the dark with lights. Yes, you can only see that
area
maybe
that is
3 feet
ahead
in front of you.
Yeah.
Just you step in that, and then as you move on, it becomes clear.
It becomes
right?
clear,
Yeah, so that's kind of how I feel my life has been. So it was clear, okay, now high school is taken care of. Okay, now high school has happened. Now start dreaming bigger. And then now how was I even going to go to the US? Yeah. I didn't even know that. Who was Zawadi?
Yeah.
But it came about. You have to trust that what's in that moment is what's meant for you at that time.
Yeah.
And then now it's the opportunity, because if we saw everything,
okay, some ladies,
how would we stay true?
Yeah, and some ladies, they say, oh, I have kids. I have a baby. How can I go back to school? Or, oh, I have a husband. Or life is just too expensive. You know, those kind of excuses. I've seen you have a baby.
Yeah, a 3-year-old.
And you're pursuing your PhD.
Yes.
My goodness.
Yeah. And
how do you, every day, how do you manage?
I think,
kids?
It's tough. I think the reality is it's going to be tough, definitely, compared to somebody who doesn't have a kid. But it doesn't mean it's not doable. So for me, I want to say support. You know, like if your partner is supportive, that's definitely a plus. Yeah. Or if you have financial capability and you can take that baby to daycare. There's childcare. Oh, yeah. So that's the way. So if your spouse is not helpful, if you don't have a spouse and you have the financial capabilities, you can go there. For me, definitely, like my partner is supportive, help me with the baby. So definitely for guys out there, don't be threatened by your women's success. Yes. Because that's also another threat for women. Maybe the men in their lives are not as supportive. So for me, like my message to the guys who have women who want to be ambitious and pursue their goals is like, be supportive. Support them, and especially if you guys share a kid. Like they're becoming better to also help the kid. It's not just for them. It's not just my going to school is not just for me. It's going to help a community. A whole community. And my child. So it's those support systems are very well needed. Very true. Yeah. So. Wow. Wow. Yeah, but it doesn't mean like there's no tears or frustration that's gonna come in the way. But just stay focused. And just know your life mission. Like, let that be the overarching goal. You do not have to know every step what's going to happen. Yes. Like, trust the little that you can see and then move on. And you should be headed to the right direction. And so long as you're reevaluating your life, am I headed to where I decided this is where I'm going to be? If you're not, track back and keep on going. Wow.
Wow, Wakurugenzi. Hey, this one was a guest and a half. Wow. I'm really amazed, actually. We talked and talked, but it's like you just unleashed everything on me. Boom. It's like, I already thought I was getting to know you and all that. But you really, every minute I was like, oh, wow, I didn't know that. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, people like you are the people that make our nations move forward. You're the people who make the girls out there get to see people like you and Caroline Mutuko, you know, people like
Zawadi Africa,
Zawadi Africa.
Dr. Mboyer, yeah.
Yeah, people like those. And guys, I will really encourage you to follow her. Get to see her. If you have any questions, inbox her. I am not going to answer your questions. She, especially in the line of all that she has said, you know. Mi niulizeni maswali za wakurugenzi, I'll answer them.
Yeah.
But then these ones are really hard type of questions, you know. Also, you can ask questions on the comment section. If you're in Kenya, you know, she's someone you can look up to. You know, ask questions. Yeah, she'll help you. She'll be ready to answer them. And as you've known now, she really is passionate towards helping young ladies, you know, and women out there. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Sam, for having me.
Yeah.
And for people on Instagram, my maybe you can put it up on on YouTube is caro.misske.
Caro.misske. Miss Kenya.
Miss Kenya, yes.
Oh, well.
People used to call me Miss Kenya in primary school.
Oh,
you know?
really?
Yes, my
And
nickname was Miss Kenya.
Pretty, huh?
Probably.
Yes, you are.
Yeah,
you are
so
definitely.
yeah, I was Miss Kenya, so I decided to embrace the name after a long time because I used to hate it.
Oh.
So yeah, but thank you guys. My name is Caroline Muthoni on Facebook with LYNE.
Okay.
So that's how you can find me.
Okay. Are you on Twitter?
Yes.
Okay.
I go by @Muthoni Mo. So Thoni MU.
MU.
Yes.
Muthoni Mo.
You can follow me there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for.
Yeah, thank you for having me, Sam. And I hope this is helpful for your guests.
Definitely, most definitely.
Yeah.
And until next time, watu wangu, subscribe, au sio? Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
And out.